Hi, morning everyone. My name's Chris Perks and I'm from a company called The Knowledge Engineers, and we train most of the world's largest ad agencies and some of the world's largest brands, including Google, Disney, MTV, Sony, Carlsberg, and the list goes on and on. And what we've been asked to do is come here this morning and talk to you guys a little bit about some social media trends. So what's going on right now, what some of the bigger brands are doing, what you guys can capitalise on, and also mobile as well, and we're going to talk about mobile a little bit later on. So this session is going to concentrate primarily on social. We've got about 45 minutes to go through this, so I'm going to whip through these slides that you'll see here. I'm going to show you some videos. Excuse me. And if you've got any questions as we go through, either shout them out as we go through, just stick your hand up, or save them till the end, and I'll be able to answer some questions for you there as well. So UTalk Marketing have rebranded recently to something called the Knowledge Engineers, and it's literally the world's largest and the world's leading digital marketing training company. We've also got another brand which is a digital marketing and creative technology platform called 12 Ahead. And if you're interested in trends, if you're interested in research and case studies, really up to the minute stuff, because we've got access to a lot of these brands and access to a lot of these platforms, we feature a lot of that content heavily on there, and you can sign up for a free trial of the 12 Ahead program, give you some real insight as to what's going on currently in most areas of digital, from social, mobile, video, CRM, display, pretty much most aspects of that. So what I want to talk to you about today, four main areas really: social re-engineering, social commerce. We touched briefly on social commerce previously with Andrew, which was really useful. We're going to talk a little bit about social local as well, how that can play a key part, and some of the key trends that are taking place, and also the socialisation of gaming, and maybe that's an opportunity for you guys to get involved in. When we talk about social re-engineering, does anybody know what social re-engineering is? Because the first time I saw this I was like, what the heck, our industry's got a really bad habit of creating euphemisms and jargon that we're like, oh, what is this all about? So essentially what we're saying now, with the advent of social and the way social has developed over the recent years, in 2012 brands will understand digital isn't about changing communications, more about it's the way that you change how you do business. Give you a few examples of that actually. Have you heard of a website called Kickstarter? Kickstarter is a social network where you can go to, if you've got a business idea, you put a pitch video together. We were talking about the importance of video earlier. Well, you create a pitch video, you upload it to something called Kickstarter, tell the audience how much you want to borrow, what for, and people start donating money. Crazy stuff. Some figures around the Kickstarter stuff here. £250 million invested so far. 24,000 different business projects have been funded using Kickstarter. And as a business, as somebody who's asking for this sort of donation, that message spreads very, very quickly. Just a quick show of hands actually, who's using Twitter at the moment, like, you know, personally, or they kind of like addicted to Twitter a little bit? Okay. You'll start to see more and more of this. I see these a lot in my Twitter feed, where people promoting other people's Kickstarter projects. Oh, donate. And you can donate as little as like $10 or $25 or whatever. And you get different benefits for donating more money, essentially. But it's a great way of funding community projects, and this sort of stuff is really well taken on board by the social networks and the social usage, because it's a real social thing, isn't it, you know? Somebody's got a great idea to make the world a little bit better. They give it to Kickstarter, Kickstarter promotes it, you promote it, your friends promote it through the social networks and so on. So that's one of the trends that we're starting to see a little bit more. And Crowdcube is very similar to this. It's the kind of UK version of Kickstarter. What I want to do, very briefly, there's a lot of videos in what I'm going to show you today. So I'm doing the session after the break on mobile as well. But there's a lot of videos in what I'm going to show you today. So I just want to show you a quick video about Crowdcube and how this works.
Do you have a great idea for a business and need to raise money? Crowdcube can help. Have you got a tenant to spare to invest in an exciting UK startup? With Crowdcube, you can. Crowdcube is a revolutionary new way to raise finance for your business and allow ordinary people a chance to invest in great ideas. Crowdcube gives entrepreneurs a platform to spread the word about their idea, while investors can choose the ideas they would like to support. As interest grows, an idea will gain support and investment from the crowd, helping entrepreneurs reach their targets. When a target is successfully met, the entrepreneur can launch their business, and shares in the business are issued to the crowd. Crowdcube, a new way to invest. Register now to raise money or invest in exciting new businesses. www.crowdcube.com.
Okay, so when we talk about this, we think, oh, well, this is really new, this is really niche, this isn't really going to have that much impact on me. So far, Crowdcube has seen over £3 million worth of investment. And it's funded projects, so I've just got it down here. It's funded projects, recruitment firms, technology providers, fuel companies. They've put together a project, put a pitch on Crowdcube, and people have invested that to the tune of £3 million so far. And Crowdcube is a relatively new start in terms of this social funding platform. But what it is it allows businesses to be social by design. This is a whole new business model that didn't exist a few years ago. So whereas some companies are maybe struggling to take on social a little bit, because that's not the way they're built, social wasn't around when they started their company, it's encouraging companies now, when we see examples of things like Kickstarter, and Crowdcube, it gives us a little bit more inspiration to say, okay, well, if we are a little bit more transparent, and if we are social by design, we build social into everything that we do, it forces us to become that little bit more transparent. It forces us to be that little bit better as well. Some of the brands that are really using social and becoming a little bit more social by design, these are some of the real key things that they're doing and really leveraging at the moment. So using their staff as advocates. I mean, you look at some of the companies, I think Ford is a great example of this. All of their staff have been through some sort of social training. So they can really leverage their biggest asset, which is their sales force, their workforce. Everyone from administrating people to salespeople are all trained in some form of social activity. They use the wisdom of the crowd. Starbucks, Dell, great examples of crowdsourcing. If you've got big networks already, you've got access to networks, whether you've got a big Facebook audience, a great Twitter following, whatever it is. You've got people that you can ask if they represent your target audience for any of the products you promote or sell. Ask them what they think. Get that information coming back from them. And if you have a look at what Dell did, for example, they created a whole series of laptops based on user information. So they went out to their users and said, look, what do you want to see on a series of new laptops that we're creating? Oh, we want to see this, we want to see this, we want to see this. They created a whole series of those laptops. Some of their best-selling products. Because it's literally developed with the user in mind, and they're telling you exactly what they want.
An organization has a problem it wants to solve, and a cache of data about that problem. For example, a supermarket might want to know when customers are likely to return to the supermarket, using a history of previous visits. Predictive modeling is a way to find new patterns and relationships in existing data, and then using those to predict what will happen in spaces where data isn't available. Good predictive modeling has become a vital component of many fields and professions. Here's a graph of a shopper's visit to the supermarket. The supermarket wants to predict how often a customer will shop in the future. If the model predicts a drop-off in visits, the supermarket can send that customer a promotion. We can create a prediction algorithm with the shopper data we do have and compare the results against existing data. The closer the match, the more confident we can be about our future predictions. There are many different approaches to predictive modeling, each with its own advantages. It's hard to tell which will be most effective without trying them all. To improve these techniques and come up with new ones, data scientists need interesting data, but they're usually stuck with old data or spend a lot of time collecting and cleaning up real data. Kaggle is a platform to connect the people with the data and the problems to the people who know how to find the answers. We run online competitions to create the world's best predictive data models. Whereas companies might employ one data scientist to create a single predictive model, players in our competitions generate many different models using a variety of techniques. Lots of data scientists attacking the problem different ways means the best approach has to outperform all the others. Players come from all around the world with a variety of educational backgrounds and specializations. And if you're a Kaggle player, you can connect with other players on Kaggle, forming teams to share skills. You're instantly ranked on a live public leaderboard based on how well your model performs. At the end of the competition, the winning model is handed over for a prize, typically cash. This competitive structure encourages players to best each other and keep striving for improvement. Kaggle makes data science a sport. Players can also connect, seeking and offering help and collaboration. In each of our competitions, we see continuous improvements to the top scores as each winner beats the previous best score. At a certain point, it starts to flatten out. This means our players have found the threshold of what's possible with the data provided. They can be confident that the best model won. Every competition we run on Kaggle has outperformed the existing best-of-breed predictive model. A competition to predict the propensity of accidents by different vehicle models for a major insurance company improved on the benchmark by 340%. In only a few days, Kagglers outperformed the best existing research in predicting tourism departures and arrivals in major cities around the world. We even ran a competition for NASA that allowed them to map out dark matter in the universe. Our largest competition so far, running for 3 years, is the Heritage Healthcare Prize. The competition, with a main prize of $3 million, asks players to predict the likelihood of a patient going to the hospital in the next year. With that prediction, the competition host HPN can take preventative measures to help the patient stay healthy and avoid a hospital stay. Thanks for watching. Visit Kaggle.com for more information or to get started with hosting or participating in a competition today.
Okay, so that takes asking your Twitter audience to the whole new level. What's important to them? What do they think? The sort of brands that are using Kaggle at the moment, Ford are using Kaggle, Deloitte are using Kaggle, Facebook are using Kaggle for some sort of recruitment processes as well. Something that may be relevant to you guys. Has anybody in here heard of a site called 5 Second Test? Right, 5secondtest.com. You want to load up your landing pages. You want to find out how well they're going to work before you start running ads to them. You can use 5 Second Test to literally gain a bit of an insight from people who are cold to that site. So you want to ask, what's the main purpose of this website? What's the main call to action? As a user of 5 Second Test, you get given a series of random landing pages or home pages of websites, and then you get to ask that audience remotely a set number of questions. Maybe you get 5,000, 10,000 exposures to that page, and it gives you the data back. So if you want to ask your audience, what's the main call to action? What should the user do next? What are we selling on this web page? Again, just to get an idea of how well you're putting together your message. Maybe, especially if you're going into new markets, this will be absolutely really good data. Because maybe you don't understand that new market quite as well as the market that you've already done activities in the past. You can get something like 5,000 pieces of feedback on your landing pages for about $40. It's really cheap. Again, you can save yourself a whole lot of pay-per-click aggro and problems if they're saying, oh, well, you know, we didn't really know what we had to do next, or I didn't really know the product that you were selling, or I didn't really know what the main benefit was, or whatever it is. Okay, I want to give you, but again, the important part of this is how this feeds into the whole social thing. Can we kind of see that this is social media is going beyond Facebook and Twitter now? Yeah, Facebook and Twitter are great examples of social platforms. But social and building social into everything you do, there is so many more social platforms out there. And the real successful ones at the moment are the ones that are breaking down into more niche markets. So the ones that are doing a certain thing, are providing a certain utility, which we'll talk more about in a second. What I want to go through with you now is a case study around about Domino's Pizza and how Domino's had a little bit of a bad reputation online. I'm sure the YouTube video circulating of the 2 employees spitting in the pizza and sending it out the door didn't help. But again, you can thank social media for that one. But this is a screenshot of some of the things that were being said about Domino's online. And this is what Domino's were going to do about it, or are doing about it, have done about it. They've reinvented themselves a little bit. So, you know, we reinvent ourselves, new inspired pizza range. We talk about inspiration and innovation. Today, well, again, it's exactly what Domino's did. This is a result and what happened and the processes that were involved in this and how they leveraged the social communities to really be able to do that.
There comes a time when you know you've got to make a change. You know, you can't lead a company like this unless you love food. I love food. I love pizza. It was about 50 years ago that they started the first store just about 5 miles from here.
Jim Brothers had a great idea, and they also said they wanted to get it delivered within 30 minutes, and that's something that no one said could be done. In fact, the first pizza delivery vehicle for our company is that vehicle right there. Around the 80s, we were exploding. We were the fastest growing company in the history of franchise business. Nothing had ever grown like that.
Now we're almost 9,000 restaurants around the world. We love what we do at Domino's.
Pizza, original love. How are bread, sauce, cheese, fresh ingredients? Doesn't feel like there's much love in Domino's pizza.
Domino's pizza crust to me like cardboard.
Is that hard
Yeah, it's hard wash.
I hear what some folks are saying about our stuff.
Oh, this one's bad. Worst excuse for pizza I've ever had.
The sauce tastes like ketchup.
Totally void of flavor.
You know what? When you first hear it, it's shocking.
Cardboard complaint is the most common one.
This we hear over and over and over.
I mean, it hits you right in the heart. This is what we've done. This is what I've done, for 25 years now.
You can either use negative comments to get you down, or you can use them to excite you and energize the process of making a better pizza. We did the latter.
Most companies hide the criticism that they're getting, and we actually faced it head on.
Some people didn't give us credit for the taste of our product. That's what we're fixing.
We listen to our consumers and they want us to be better, and we want them to be happy. We want people to love our pizza.
This is what's driving us. This is what's lit the fire under us. This is what's making us want to get better.
It's pretty crazy down here. We had our best chefs working hard to find the best combination, looking at 10 crust types, 15 sauces, dozens of cheeses.
You can't just add a little salt or add a little something to the recipe. I mean, we basically had to start over with a new recipe.
And they were working day and night and weekends to get it done.
This is Roxanne. She's one of the lead chefs for pizzas, and she's constantly trying new stuff, and she's saying, try this and try that. The day she put this in front of me, I said, dang, this is the real deal.
We changed everything. The crust, the sauce, the cheese. Now it tastes better.
We started working on the cheese.
We've got shredded cheese. Cheese. It's tastier. When you smell it, it's got an aroma to it. I mean, this is what cheese should be.
We started working on the sauce.
New sauce is bright, it's spicy, it's robust.
We've got garlic in here, we've got oregano, we've got basil, we've got and a little bit of red pepper just to tingle on your tongue.
It's a bold flavor. When you bite into that, that's what pizza sauce should taste like.
We started working on the crust.
A nice, rich, buttery crust with some garlic and some herbs in there.
Gives it a nice finish for you. Great taste from the first bite to the last bite on every single slice.
Now we got great food, we've earned the swagger, right? We're gonna do an end zone dance on this one. I can't wait to have people try it. This is not even about being right, it's about us having great food.
No, it's about us being right.
And I can't wait for Adrian to try our new pizza. So, I think she's gonna be surprised.
We're gonna bring her the new pizza.
Right, okay, the rest of the video is just a bit more of a promo and show reel for Domino's. I'm going to show you another video to lean on the back of that, what they really did. But the thing that really amazes me is this guy saying, yeah, we've got it right, cheese. This is the guy who's been baking pizza for 25 years that tastes like cardboard. I don't know how much we can believe it. But anyway, so this is what, I'm sorry, I've just done that on the wrong thing. Here we go, right. So they take all this feedback and you can see the sort of processes they've gone into. And this is why, okay, that's not really that social at the moment. This is just all their in-house processes. This is what they did about it, which I'm sure you'll agree is pretty special and pretty impressive. So.
I remember when I set out that pizza. It's got my name on it. Pizza Tracker lets you track your order at every stage on Domino's.com. And it lets you leave a review instantly. Tracker gives accountability. It lets you know Jess is making a pizza. I'm Jess and I'm making your pizza.
Right now we've got one coming up, so that's a good review.
We've got some 5s, which is awesome. We've got some 1s, some 2s, which is not so awesome.
Good reviews and better reviews, they make us better.
We want to know how we're doing.
What more people are reviews?
It's more people in store or...
Reviews are up. So get our $5.99 deal online and tell us how it did.
I think that raises the bar just a little bit higher.
Okay, so they're taking it to a whole new extreme and publishing every little bit of feedback they get live in the stores and all that sort of stuff. But they're also feeding that sort of thing through to their social networks as well. For example, with YouTube, You order a pizza, you get delivered to your door, you upload the experience to YouTube, you vote for pizzas, blah, 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 a bit of the social gamification model coming up in there. And you get to win $500 if your photo wins it. Your photo is the best pizza that's delivered. What does this mean? It means the whole business is becoming far more social because it's got that end user experience built right into it, encouraging people to share the results of that experience online with all of their other friends and family. So if they're getting that bad and they're getting it wrong, they're just going to perpetuate that message online. It's going to be a long old day for Domino's Pizza. So some of the results as a result of all this crowdsourcing they did and gathering feedback and promoting their products or encouraging users to promote their products online for them and publicising their feedback through Times Square billboards, for example. Again, sentiment towards it, and sentiment is very important in the social circles, but sentiment towards the brand improved massively. As far as business results are concerned, company increased its new customers by 30%. Why? Because they knew exactly what the customer wanted, because they'd asked them. They promoted that heavily online, but they also got their customers to promote that heavily online. You heard earlier when Andrew was talking about it's important, the syndication of content. Your users, your marketplace, your customers, syndicating content for you and you're pushing your message for you. This is a great example of how this works in the real world. Achieve 65% repeat purchase rate. We all know the importance of repeat purchases, yeah? Okay. Increase 14.3% in quarterly same-store sales. So this has got a direct impact compared again at the same time last year. I want to talk a little bit about social commerce. When we talk social commerce, what do we think? Best suggestions? Any suggestions? Social commerce? What are we talking about? Facebook? Selling directly on Facebook? Facebook stores and that sort of thing? Potentially. As far as the brand model is concerned, the old model is very much you've got the product, you sell it through an agency, you sell it through a supermarket or a store, and they're the people who keep all the data about the end user. Now, brands can go directly to the consumers or sell through aggregators, people like eBay, Amazon, and that sort of stuff. The Apple Store, whatever it happens to be. We talk heavily, when we talk about social commerce, we talk a lot about social distribution. Are we all familiar with Groupon? Yeah, I'm guessing everyone knows Groupon. Okay. Groupon, Living Social, Facebook Deals, Shop Eat Live, KGB, Wouter, loads and loads of daily deal websites. Does anybody subscribe to the Groupon newsletter? So you get it every day and it says, oh, get your teeth whitened and have your legs waxed and all this sort of stuff. Yeah? A lot of people are unsubscribing from that newsletter now because it's too much, they've seen a little bit too much, and if they want a night away somewhere, they'll have a look on Groupon a few weeks before and think, oh, let's see if I can get this deal. In essence, though, the deal still works because people share it on their social networks. It's built in to the social network where when you sign up for Groupon, here's a little box you tick to share your deals with your friends on Facebook. So every time you get a deal, you share it with your friends on Facebook. Social is built into this business, and without social, businesses like this could not exist. Some of the facts and figures around Groupon: 142 million subscribers. We'd love a list of 142 million people. How are we going to mail a list of 142 million people? Revenues of $559 million, up 89% year over year. As of March, Groupon surpassed the 35 million active customer mark. First quarter 2012 marked the first time that more than 100,000 unique merchants were served in a single quarter. They're also the company that's reached $1 billion in sales quicker than anybody else. The daily deal mindset really does work. If we've got a list, it's well nurtured and we're given exceptional value, it works. Especially if it's backed with increasing social interactivity and getting them again to share and syndicate that message for you. You don't have to do all the hard work anymore. If you tie into the social networks, you build a loyal audience, you can get those to do a lot of that work for you. Again, just some more information around the revenues around social commerce. Expected to increase massively over the next couple of years. I want to give you an example of ASOS. Has anybody heard of ASOS? Do you all know ASOS? Every talk I do, there's always somebody in the room when I suggest what's your most popular website that you go back to all the time. Someone always says ASOS because they're buying clothes and one thing and another. ASOS is a online clothing retailer, and they dip the toe in the water with social commerce. They built a Facebook store, much like many of the other big brands have done, which are now being scaled back, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a second. So they built. You what, sorry? I'm not entirely sure if they are. Are they really? Oh, right, okay. They built a Facebook store, scaled it back because it just wasn't working. People weren't spending money to buy clothes on Facebook to the level that they expected. So this is what they did about it. They still wanted to leverage the social networks, but they thought, hang on a minute, people are going to Facebook for a reason. Clearly that reason is not to buy our clothes. What else can we do to leverage the social space?
ASOS began 10 years ago and is now the UK's largest online fashion store. Hungry for more, ASOS wants to win the global online fashion race. So they asked us to build a completely new e-commerce platform to enable people to sell their own fashion. And they wanted it done in 6 months. We need an idea, outstanding UX, world-class enterprising tech, and some brand guidelines with some fashion credibility. So here's how we did it. The idea, the global fashion democracy. Anyone who loves fashion, anywhere in the world, can sell fashion items to anyone who loves fashion, anywhere in the world. We wanted ASOS Marketplace to return style to the people, so they define fashion, not the fashion elite. The approach. We gathered a unique team of specialists with skills varying from UX to design, planning to tech, onshore and offshore. We developed an innovative, bespoke solution based on the Microsoft.NET framework, in line with existing superior ASOS technology standards. We created a 3-phase roadmap, detailed scope, and agile scrum method that ensured the project delivered value against the business and remained on time and on budget. This approach considers every part of the user journey, from encouraging the sellers to share fashion inspiration, using language that's understood by all, allowing users pride and ownership of the site, and delivering a customer-focused and helpful checkout. It is crucial that we made user-generated content look united, so we came up with the People's Runway, because everyone has a street they can shoot on. And all the products are housed in one simple but beautiful, user-friendly design that oozes fashion credibility. The result. Whether you're big or small, individual or collective, anyone can start their fashion empire. And our worldwide wardrobe celebrates style from Oslo, Ghana or Goa, not just London, New York and Paris. We began to get national press coverage as soon as news of Marketplace spread, and were featured in all the best fashion labels. Within weeks of launching, we had 1,500 live products, and were shipping to Australia, Russia, China, and the USA. Only through the combined talents of Prepare to Connect could we have created one platform that harnessed the world's untapped design talent, built a global communal runway, and brought ASOS a new business model and one step closer to winning the global online fashion race. Welcome to ASOS Marketplace. Welcome to the future of fashion.
Okay, so this is just an example to show, look, when we think about social, we've got to think a bit bigger. We've got to think a bit smarter. Thinking selling and pitching on Facebook and trying to get traffic driven from Facebook through to our landing pages or whatever, it's not going to cut it anymore. If you look at what Procter & Gamble, look at what Johnson & Johnson did with the baby centre, that was a huge cost to Johnson & Johnson, huge. And essentially it was a portal for new moms where they could get advice and information about being a new mom and how to look after the baby and how-to guides and all this sort of stuff. Real good quality generated content. It was a massive resource. That's by publishers and editors and content creators and journalists and researchers and all the rest of it, plus the development that went into that. That is now a profit centre for Johnson & Johnson. That site makes money in its own right now, irrespective of all those costs, because of the quality of content that was being put out. And that was very much part of your message this morning, produce good quality content that people will come back more for is definitely the way to drive business online. Definitely the way to drive business online. Either later on in this presentation or the next one, I can't remember which one it's in, we're going to talk about something called Google's Zero Moment of Truth and how many times people, or how many different sources of information people actually call upon now before they make a buying decision. I'm going to show you how you can leverage that. Another example of this is the Lego project, where if you've got an idea for a piece of Lego or a Lego kit, you get 10,000, you submit it to their own social site, you get 10,000 people to vote for it, Lego will build it for you and they'll ship it to the stores. Again, it's how do you find out as a business what's popular, what your users want? Ask them. Get them to promote it, get them to do the hard work and the lead work for you. You create the product and distribute it to the masses. Talk a little bit about Facebook commerce. Has anybody done anything on Facebook? They've done any Facebook commerce, sold anything directly on Facebook using some of the plugins like maybe Equid or something for shopping carts? No? Okay. A lot of brands have tested the water with Facebook commerce. Gillette is another example, Procter & Gamble, ASOS. Levi's have done their Friends jeans store. The verdict is very much still yet to come in on whether Facebook commerce is worth it. Stores like JCPenney spent hundreds of thousands of dollars creating the store. Very little back off it, they've closed the store. A lot of the gaming platforms were trying to sell games on there. Again, they've come away from it. It's not really working. A lot of it has been scaled back. Is that a sign? Does that mean it's not working? No, not at all. It just means we haven't found a way to make it work just yet. There's a couple of ones here to watch though that may be quite useful for you. Fab.com. It's a marketplace for discovering everyday design, so you can buy stuff from there. There's Beachmint. It's an e-commerce store within Facebook, and it only shows products that celebrities are buying right now. So again, it's leveraging on a lot of what's being spoken about in the magazines and the other social sites, Heat Magazine, online, and that sort of thing. Social Local. I think this is a fairly big topic, really. And there's a customer services slide in here I want to go on to before we start talking about the local stuff. I've got that in the wrong order, sorry. Dell, a really good example. That always gets rolled out at any social media talk you go to. People talk about Dell and their customer services and generating millions of dollars worth of sales on the back of it. But it's not that amount of dollars they made depends on who you listen to. But it's more about what they actually tried to achieve with that. They've got a terrible reputation. Their customer services systems were in disarray. They made it public. If you force it into the public eye and become more transparent, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to sink or you're going to get better. And Dell got better. And there's a lot of other companies that are doing that as well. Heart Internet. Does anybody use Heart Internet for hosting or anything like that? The UK's hosting provider of the year for the last couple of years. You can respond to those on Twitter. You tweet them a question. They will respond to you far quicker than they will through their online ticketing system. Foursquare, Foursquare with mobile check-ins, vouchering, mobile vouchering systems work very, very well, very, very popular. An example is Saks and Fifth Avenue. Saks Fifth Avenue is driving consumers in store via an offer for NARS lipstick after the check-in. So if you use Foursquare on your phone, you check in at Saks Fifth Avenue and you can get this free lipstick. They partner with InStyle magazine to let readers check in to a store via Foursquare as well. So again, it's just leveraging other people's marketplaces. If you can partner up with people who offer similar or complementary services to your own, maybe you can do the same sort of thing there as well. Got any experience of gaming? Anybody in the room got any experience of social gaming or doing anything in the gaming marketplaces? Gaming's a cracking opportunity right now because it gets you into new marketplaces. It's additional touch points, a chance to reach people in a way that we've never been able to reach them before. New platforms, new technology, new revenue streams. And there's various ways in which you can do that. I'm going to talk to you about a couple of these. It's just some of the statistics around Farmville and Cityville. I don't know if any of you ever played those personally, not me, but and again, some statistics. I'm not going to read all the statistics off the slide, but it's quite surprising that the female online gaming market is higher than maybe anticipated in the social gaming market. But do you remember back in the day, a couple of years ago, when we were saying that Facebook's just a place for kids to play on? Well, apparently not. The average age of online social gamers is 29 years old. And it's between the ages of 20 and 30, well, 20 and 50 are the biggest part of that market. So maybe we should look at the online game and the social gaming markets and see what we can do about that. It's not necessarily cost prohibitive anymore. If you look at people like Trey Smith in California, he's doing very well creating games, outsourced games. He puts a little bit of money and effort into it. Costs him a couple of $1,000s to have a game created. But we've got to look at how we're going to monetize this. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. So, Zynga are probably the biggest. They're behind some of the biggest social games, certainly through the Facebook platform. And more virtual tractors are sold in Farmville every day than real tractors in America in the entire year. So I don't know if that's going to be of any sort of benefit to you whatsoever. McDonald's tried to tap in on this Farmville, and they launched their own one-day integration with Farmville. Whether this is a good thing or a bad thing or not, because it cost them an absolute fortune to do these. How many more burgers it sold? No idea. But in terms of reaching people that they couldn't normally reach, in an environment they couldn't normally reach them, not bad at all. So users were rewarded with McDonald's branded virtual goods and other items to aid progress in their own virtual farms. McDonald's gained access to 61 million registered players during that day. These players spend an average of 15 minutes tending to their farms each day. Dwell time for the brand through the roof. So how are we going to make money from games? The most popular way of monetization right now through games is making them paid. Hands up who's got an iPad? Hands up who's got children under the age of 8? Can't get my son off Angry Birds. I don't know if any of you have the same sort of problem. Dad, can I borrow 20 bucks? What do you want 20 bucks for, son? I can buy 100 new Eagles on the new Angry Birds game if you lend me 20 bucks. How much is 20 bucks, Dad? It's about £10, £15. Oh, right, okay. You're not having it. So if we're not monetising our gaming exposure, we get games created, we can submit them to the app stores, and we can advertise within the games. It's not quite so popular as getting a paid for app, so distribute free games, put the advertising on the inside of those games, especially if we can tie into the markets in which we operate. Alternatives to that are in-game purchases, so you can buy credits inside the game itself. Again, example of guys like Trey Smith who are spending a couple of $1,000s creating games, and then maybe making a couple of $1,000s a day selling the games, or having the games downloaded for free and relying on the in-app purchases. Angry Birds, we've all seen Angry Birds, what is it, something like $10 million in the first 10 days or whatever it was when the new Angry Birds game was launched. And how's that been tied into the, we're running out so I'm not going to show you this video, but how does that tie into the whole social space? T-Mobile partnered with Angry Birds and they did the live Angry Birds outdoors, they built all the things and people were like catapulting birds at pigs and all this sort of stuff. But what was happening at that point? It was a massive social experience. People got the smartphones, they're recording it on video, they're sharing it on their social networks. It's a great example of how, if you get the message right and you get it to the right audience, and user experience is vital now, it goes back to the quality of what we're putting out. If we're going to be doing anything in the social space, it's got to have some sort of utility. It's got to be worth something, it's got to add value, it's got to generate goodwill in order for people to be able to go on, use it many times, share it with their friends and so on and so forth. One of the reasons why online gaming or social gaming is so addictive is through what we term light progression. It's like literally the crack of the digital age. So light progression systems drive social success, and light progression is where you've got to keep driving for that next little bit. You've got to keep sharing what you're doing. You've got to get the next badge. Anybody in here play Call of Duty? Got no Call of Duty players. Okay, fair enough. Call of Duty, very, very popular online game, and you have to collect little badges and awards, and you can unlock new things. That's light progression. They keep you going, striving for that next thing. And of course, if you build that in with the social element, a great example of this is Bejeweled, the Bejeweled game on Facebook. Every time you get a top score, it shares it on your walls, your friends can see it, you end up competing with them, you spend more time playing in that game. Again, with games like Bejeweled, you can buy credits, so they finance themselves that way. Some of the benefits of gamification can drive loyalty. If you can get somebody going back and playing that game over and over and over again, that's huge dwell time. And again, if you serve an advertising around your games, or the gamification, social gamification, increased exposure for your advertisers. Depth of engagement, data collection, and a little bit of social currency as well, become quite popular. In the last 40 minutes or so, we've covered off quite a lot: social commerce, social gamification, location-based stuff. Great, thank you very much.